The hottest rappers coming out of Atlanta are now in big legal trouble.
New tonight at 5, we are getting our first look at the Atlanta police officer shot multiple times on the job this week.
Atlanta, February 2022. Atlanta police are following YSL rapper Big Briss, ready to pounce on him to take him into custody for stripping a rapper for a Rolex and diamond ring when the rapper was trying to shoot a video on the infamous Cleveland Ave, aka Believeland Ave.
Eppinger is a documented member of YSL street gang.
He described the gang as having a stronghold on the Cleveland Avenue corridor where the shooting happened Monday. He allegedly robbed a man at gunpoint along Cleveland Avenue and, working with an accomplice, took the man's Rolex watch, designer wallet, jewelry, iPhone, and SUV.
Cleveland Ave is where Young Thug and other guys who founded Young Slime Life or Young Stoner Life, depending on what you want to call it, grew up around. Get down on the ground. The APD yell at Big Briss as he exits a car they've been following. Big Briss has other plans.
According to the warrants, Eppinger pushed Rogers away, pulled out a gun, and shot the officer 4 times in the shoulder, once in his leg and once in the back of his head.
6 shots. Big Briss, real name Christian Eppinger, shoots one of the Atlanta police 6 times, including once to the back of the head. He gets taken into custody and hits the Fulton County jail, which was already the home of YFN Lucci, who's been in custody since 2021 on a RICO charge of his own. In fact, the same day Big Briss hit the county, February 9th, is supposedly the same day YFN Lucci got stabbed. And this happened right after Big Briss and a guy named Antonio Sublin hopped on the jail phone and allegedly asked Young Thug for permission to hit YFN. And YFN's lawyer used this, it hit the news, and YFN's lawyer tried to use this as a way to get his client out of the county jail, saying his life was in danger. But for those of you who think Lucci might be telling, I have it on reputable authority that he's definitely not. I guess there were some witnesses and the guards knew, and he was only stabbed in the finger, so I heard. Now, like I said, the way the stabbing got in the indictment is probably that the accused stabbers called Young Thug on the phone as soon as Big Briss hit the county jail and said, Lucci's here, can we do it? And I guess he said yes. Now, about 40 days after Lucci was stabbed, Lakevia Jackson gets shot in the head and killed tragically at a bowling alley. Now, she was the mother of Thug's 14-year-old son, a son that him and Lucci exchanged some comments about over the years on social media. And about 40 more days after that shocking crime, someone was taken into custody. Now, of course, at first they said it was over a bowling ball, but maybe that was just a pretense, because the guy who did it, or is accused of doing it, waited outside for quite a while before he did it. And his name was Joshua Fleetwood, and he's alleged to be down with YFN and Lucci's crew. And then 40 more days after that, and the hip-hop industry is shaken again by this.
We are here today about a grand jury indictment that was returned that included not just Jeffrey Williams, which is of some notoriety and media attention, but about 28 defendants. They are committing conservatively 75 to 80% of all of the violent crime that we are seeing within our community.
Well, Young Thug might get his chance to get his hormones, because he is looking at a lot of time. Young Thug Gunna and a bunch of others are charged with conspiracy to violate the Georgia RICO code. It's not the feds, it's the state of Georgia that has their own RICO. And Fulton County prosecutors say that in 2012, Young Thug founded Young Slime Life, YSL, supposedly a blood set, but Gunna has made his Rollin 60s allegiance very public. He was just on a check-in show with Big U, and Gunna's only charged with the Georgia RICO Act, and he turned himself in today. But Young Thug appears to be in much more jeopardy with many more charges. He's in custody, no parole. And the 2 most high-profile crimes in the indictment are the stabbing of YFN Lucci and Lil Wayne's tour bus getting shot up back in 2015. A guy named PeeWee Rascoe served about 5 years in prison already for that crime, and now he's been indicted for the same crime along in this RICO with everybody else. But the most serious crime is that Young Thug himself is accused of having rented an Infiniti truck that was used in the 2015 murder of 26-year-old Donovan Big Nut Thomas, where 2 other people were also wounded in southwest Atlanta, aka the Swats. Now, Big Nut appeared in this video with Thug.
I got one of the biggest bloods in America with me, my nigga. You did, Atlanta, Georgia, nigga.
Now, probably wasn't a good idea to say this in public in retrospect, and Big Nut was YFN Lucci's main backer and entry into the big leagues of the music business, I think, and supposedly his murder was key to the alleged war between YSL and YFN.
Developing story this morning, the search is on for the person who shot 3 people, including a 14-year-old. 1 man died.
Neighbors in Atlanta's Castleberry Hill neighborhood heard the gunfire around 7:30 Saturday night. She saw 3 young men on the ground. Atlanta police say a teenager and a man in his 20s were both shot in the leg. The third, 26-year-old Donovan Thomas, was critical.
It was in January of 2015 when Big Nut was gunned down, and this supposedly divided the city. And like I said, Young Thug called Nut one of the, quote, biggest bloods in America. I don't know why you would say that on a video. And he was tightly affiliated with YFN Lucci, and their beef went public in 2017 when Thug called himself the new Tupac. YFN Lucci made fun of that, put a thug emoji, and Thug went on IG Live to say he would slap Lucci and Sauce Walker as well. And he said, the only reason, he said, I like what you're doing for your mother and your kids. That's the only reason I haven't killed you, at YFN. Wow. Then in 2019, Lucci clowned Thug's So Much Fun album, and the YSL leader got on IG and said, at YFN, if I ain't like what you was doing for your mother and kids, I would have been killed you. In May 2019, YFN Lucci's red Mercedes truck gets shot up. He wasn't in the car. Now, maybe, you know, they say that was part of the beef. Maybe the guy driving it had his own beefs. He lived, but seems like they were gunning for YFN. So, YFN Lucci was already in the Fulton County jail for a RICO charge, along with some YFN members.
New at 6, a massive gang indictment in Fulton County charged a dozen people with a racketeering conspiracy, including a famous musical artist, YFN Lucci.
And that stems from kind of a weird incident. They were driving around Atlanta in their new Bentley truck. When they kind of lost control of the vehicle, they almost hit somebody. The guy they almost hit, they exchanged argument and then shots with, and one of the guys Lucci was with got hit, died, fell out of the car, and the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, painted a picture that Lucci and his guys had been riding around in the Bentley truck with assault rifles in that neighborhood when a shootout happened. But I heard it was just a random thing, and that Lucci could have got out of it by just saying what had happened, but he didn't want to make any kind of statement, so Georgia hit him with their RICO case. And Georgia, Atlanta, having changed a lot. It used to be a crime capital. You know, that had gone down a lot, and they don't want it going back up. There's a lot of new kind of people there, and I bet you they run through the rap industry. You better tighten up what you're doing if you got any street ties right now.
Social media is a wonderful tool for prosecutors in every indictment we bring nowadays.
I wonder how much is going on behind the scenes in Fulton County Jail between YSL and YFN. I don't know how strong YFN is, but YSL, whatever they got going on the street, Young Thug's a big artist and definitely has access to a lot of money, and it's hard to win a war against people that have a lot more money than you. Now, they say Young Thug created and led the YSL street gang that committed multiple murders and shootings and carjackings over about a decade and promoted its activities in songs and on social media. Now, this is what prosecutors alleged in the sprawling indictment that charges him and Gunna and 26 others with racketeering. There's an 88-page indictment. They quote lyrics from multiple music videos as evidence, and they allege gang members committed violent crimes to collect money for the gang, promote its reputation, and enhance its power and territory. Now, Young Thug's real name is Jeffrey Williams. He's 30. Gunna's real name is Sergio Giovanni Kitchens. They were caught in a car together not long back with some AK-47s, methamphetamines, I assume Molly, and opioids. And they've both been hit with the Georgia RICO. Gunna just turned himself in, but Thug was taken into custody yesterday at his home in Buckhead. He's being held at the Fulton County Jail along with YFN Lucci and his buddy Big Briss and many others for RICO and other charges. Conspiracy dates back to 2013 and the gang charge they have back to 2018. Now, Young Thug... Now, of course, Young Thug has made himself a pretty damn big deal after he gangstered Big Wayne out of the sort of top spot in the South while Wayne was occupied with this battle with Birdman about the $50 million in unpaid Young Money royalties. Alleged triggerman was a guy named PeeWee Rascoe. Now, who was PeeWee Rascoe? He was Young Thug's tour manager, and he was also a self-professed blood gang member. Jimmy Winfrey is his legal name, and phone calls from him to Birdman directly before and after the attack on Lil Wayne certainly seemed suspicious and made it look like Young Thug and Birdman were in on the crime.
Have you come out here and get this money, nephew?
And you might not be aware, but Young Thug helped Childish Gambino write This Is America, which became the very first hip-hop track to win the Song of the Year Grammy back in 2019. Another interesting angle on this, you can learn more about that by watching part 1 of my Surviving Cash Money story, is about the case of Lil Wayne's tour bus. PeeWee Rascoe, also a YSL affiliate, pled guilty to shooting up Wayne's tour bus back in 2015. And in the aftermath of the shooting, like I said, Young Thug ascended. He put out the Barter 5. Lil Wayne seemed like he fell back. PeeWee Rascoe got 10 years for the crime, but after just 5 years in 2020, he was released. His guilty plea was tossed out due to errors by the judge in the case. And the Georgia Supreme Court found that the Cobb County judge had overstepped her bounds by implicitly communicating to PeeWee Rascoe that he'd get a longer sentence if he didn't take the 10-year deal. The opportunity is going away, she said. Quote, go to trial and you get convicted. There's not going to be any concern of me about you getting out on parole. Whatever they say you're guilty of, I'm going to sentence you to that, and I'm not going to worry about when you get out of jail because it's not my concern. And the court ruled that rendered PeeWee Rascoe's guilty plea sort of involuntary. So he got out in 2020, but that old case just got new life because PeeWee Rascoe, the tour bus shooting, the YFN Lucci stabbing, the murder of Big Nut, they're all included in this 2022 indictment of Young Slime life. Now, I still don't understand how charging someone with the crime they already beat in a RICO case for a second time doesn't jeopardize the double jeopardy clause, doesn't violate the double jeopardy clause, but PeeWee Rascoe is back in the hot seat along with Young Thug and Gunna. And to all the rap crews out there, there's, you better tighten up and make sure your street ties are sealed off from what you're doing, because I've been saying it for a couple years, and maybe this is the start of it, where they're going to try to run through the rap industry. And certainly cities like Atlanta and LA, that's got a lot of rich people, a lot of economic activity. You know, they feel like, Chicago too, they feel like the gangs, the popular rappers are using their money to buy the guns for the gangs, and murders committed in commission of making record labels and rappers popular generate tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. But I'd also like to explore in a further sort of episode of this, the complicity of the corporate infrastructure, because these guys are signed to big labels. So Leo Cohen had Young Thug on his 300. I don't know if he's still on it, but whoever these guys are signed to, you know, you think the corporate people don't know what's going on? They do. So why are none of them charged? Al Prophet, American Dope, free the Thug and free Gunna and all the rest.